Mic test, mic test, mic test. Am I live? Let me see. Hold on. Also, let me pause the music real quick. Okay, so sorry for starting this weird because I freaking forgot I had to stream. So I hope my voice is fine at the moment. Definitely let me know. But anyway, today we'll be going over Great Kaiser. No, jeez, Great Zeorymer Retrofit 3. As well as Miku Awaken, which is the the co-pilot for the original or for Great Zmer. So or before Retrofit 3 anyway. So just know that I'll be getting into them in this stream, and hopefully I can keep the stream short because those two are the only thing I'll be talking about today, mostly I think. And feel free to ask any question during the stream, and of course if you're watching this in the future, everything I talked about will be timestamped in the comments and in the description. So, well, hopefully there will only be 2 timestamps, so we can just get things over with quickly. Alright, hold on. Let me set things up because again, I forgot I had to stream. So sorry. Alright, hold on. Let me watch my own stream. Make sure the thing is good as well. Hold on. I'm gonna check my own stream after I start the okay, hidden words. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too loud. Okay. Alright, hopefully this is fine. Like, is audio fine in this level? Let me see. I mean, it's fine because we're also waiting for people to join in as well, so I think that's also good. Still, the music's so good for the thing. Okay. Let me open up my, yeah, the intro would just be me trying to set everything up. As usual, as usual. That's usually what happens, on my stream anyway. The first hour is just trying to set everything up, but... Where's my mirroring tools? Absolutely, oh yeah. Howard mirror. That's the thing I use. I only have 13... I only have 13 freaking power left. Cause I was outside eating food, and I come home, right? I was gonna say, alright, I need to stream, but I forgot I need to stream, so that's why I am here, like, dying, half dying at the moment. Okay. So, let me put my video on. Let me also turn my phone on. Get my phone in? Okay, good. Alright, let me go into my games. I haven't even gone to my games yet. Okay. So one thing I want to say though, like before we started with Iron SAGA stuff, for those who might be paying attention to Mecha break stuff, I talk about like a lot of recent changes that, for example, like quality of life changes, as well as you get 2 or 12 units right out of bat as the game starts. So Mecha Break definitely seem to be listening to the that their players, like after the beta, like they really seem to change a lot. So alright, hold on. Yeah, I think there's a problem right now for some reason in the game where we have to use where basically we have to let me see if I can make sure everything is fine. Yeah, for some reason we have to use mobile data to get in the game first and then do it. I'm pretty sure this might have been a problem because I've seen questions about like asking about how like this exact problem as well. Just know that try to use your mobile data before you use Wi-Fi, and hopefully they can fix it, after a while, hopefully. Who knows? Alright. I think I need to relink my thing again, because I think, yeah, I think things screwed up. Yeah, there you go. Okay, let me get my thing back. Alright, there you go, finally, we're here! Okay, so, you know what, without further ado, let's just get into the build for, let's just get into the build for Great Kaiser. No, let's get into the builds for, hold on, let me start recording. Alright, so, let's get into the, right off the bat, let's get into the, oh, Jesus Christ, hold on, let me, cause I'm also recording this as a video, so, yeah. So, let's get into, Great Zeorymer's, build guide and review. Now, I'm putting this here because this is the general theme that you might be facing nowadays, or at least in my opinion, the more optimal teams is, well, you're not going to be facing 2 Great Mazing Kaiser. You're going to be facing 2 God and 1. Jesus Christ. Why am I keep on saying Great Mazing Kaiser? But you'll usually be facing 2 God. 1 God on Hongwu and 1 God on Masato, and then with Miku piloting the Great Zeorymer. Because she kind of like, she's almost, well, she's not required, but she will really help out your gods, and of course if you have another Zeo as well. But personally, again, if you're a new player, right? If you're a new player, you don't even want to, in my opinion, if you don't have any copies of Great Zeorymer, you probably don't want to roll it, mainly because it just costs way too much stamina for you to, get all 3 retrofits. So yeah, definitely, like, if you're a new player, right? If you're a new player or free to play, or someone who doesn't have any copies of, Great Zeo, just get God, and you should be fine. And you can even skip out on Miku Awaken as well. So, because then Miku Awaken, does require you to be on Great Mazinger Great Zeorymer in order to be good. I don't know I don't know what's going on. And your other team will usually just be Loki, Echo Saga, or Serenity DC meme. So alright, so now let's finally get into the builds. Now this is the build that the general build for almost most occasions, right? You got the core that is anti CCs, which let me see what Ian translated into, because Ian got the car now, or Ian got this parts now. So let's see what Ian translated into. So Ian translated into Dimension Core. The perform increase the continuation by dismissing. So basically, yeah, just anti-disruptions of the actions, which you really do need for Great Zeorymer. So well, yeah, way more than just pure CD or pure damage. So yeah, definitely this is a must-have for Great Zeorymer now. But of course, if the enemy are not using something like, say, yeah, if the enemy are not using a lot of force knockdown, if the enemy are not using a lot of force CCs, right, then you can probably use something like the joints, something like this, or or something more like even hydraulics if you want to, yeah, hydraulics, or even depending on the team, maybe even Majin Core if you want to burst. But for now, this is usually the core to go. If you don't have it, then just use joints. You can use this joints, or you can use this joints. Doesn't matter. Well, it kind of does matter depending on the, but both works. But of course, try to get this one if you do have it. Now you probably have a few, but you probably have them on God. If that's the case, then yeah, keep them on God and just use a joint here. But if you're able to get 2 or more, which you don't need 2 or more if you don't have more than 1 God and 1 Zeal. But if you do have 2 or more, then you definitely need try to get another one for for God. Because again, try to get another one for Great Zeorymer, because Great Zeorymer are also pretty good, as he's just he also a nuke. If not, sometimes have even more damage potential than God sometimes. So now for the bullets is mainly just fist, just do extra damage in order to deal over enemies a lot of the enemy's defense nowadays. So yeah, definitely something, or this is definitely the one that you want to go for. Of course, there are some other ones that you can probably go for, which I don't even know which one that will be. But for now, yeah, at least in this meta, I think having this super office is guaranteed for you to proc, like max out the amount of damage from steals and stuff like that. And I don't really think there's any other units or any other one that I should really focus on aside from super office. Depending on of course, maybe something in the future will be better. So hold on, I haven't watched my own video yet, so I don't know if the audio is fine, but I'm gonna watch it later. Hopefully it is. So I'll just redo all this again, if audio is not fine. Now for support. I'm just going with this little battery things here, because it just helps you survive a little bit longer, even though in this meta it doesn't really matter. But the thing is, right, most things also doesn't matter, right? You don't really want emergency detach. I mean, you can, but emergency detach is like, it just prolongs the inevitable, in my opinion, right? This is fine, but you know, enemy now are not gonna be in your face. The enemy is gonna be, you know, nuking you from a distance. So I don't really think this will be useful. So I really think, yeah, this one is still just a little bit more able to protect you just a little bit. Not much, but you know, probably the best option out of everything else that we can have at the moment. Of course, depending on the meta, you know, some of the one might be better, but in this meta, I think there isn't better ones than this one. Now for the armor, just it's just from steel. And if you're someone who doesn't have Scorpion, then you can probably have, you know, Gem 1 here and have this thing with the Heim armor, the, you know, show armor if you want to. But from steel, usually just where to go, just some little extra protection preventing you from being one-shot or something, so that should be fine. Now for the coatings, coating is the one where it doesn't really, it might matter less. I'm using Gaia mainly because, you know, there'll be a lot of knockdown nowadays, so you can just heal a little bit and get a little bit defense when you get knocked down. It's like, it wouldn't be as abusive as, for example, Ho's, you know, constantly getting knocked down, constantly getting the buff and heals. It wouldn't be that much, but it is still something that can probably, you know, help you out a little bit. But if not, you know, S-coat will always work. Tilted armor, you know, the tilted armor should be fine as well. Even liquid armor, you know, depending on the meta you want to use. Or if you're using Miku, you can even use, you know, the aggro if you want to. That might even work as well. But again, depending on what you have, depending on the builds and such. So, yeah. And now for the pets. I'm going with Scorpion, just so hopefully, because Scorpion is able to go through. I believe is able to go through dimensional cores anti-CCs. So this is truly going, you know, kind of like applying an extra layer of 4 CCs, because you know, force knockdown can be negated by this core, but 4 CC from the Scorpion is not able to be negated by the, you know, by the core. So this can potentially help you nuke a little bit better. So this is the reason why I'm using Scorpion. But of course, depending on what you have, you can also use Pisces. You can also use, you know, Crab or some other ones like, you know, this one as well. Depending on what you have. But I think overall, in PvP settings, Scorpion I think is a little bit better in most cases. And now for the co-pilot, would really depend on your pilot. Like, for example, if you were to be using Hongwu on it, right? If you were to be using Hongwu on it, then probably something like a speedy increase will be better, I think, right? Obviously. But since we are using with Miku Awaken, you want to be more alive in order for, you know, in order for your other 2 Zeos, albeit like another, you know, Great Zeo and a God or 2 God, for him to, you know, I guess exist more to buff them up more. So that's the reason why I'm using Jasmine's defense. So, you know, it can both protect some. It can also have some damage immunity, as well as having what's it called, I guess the aggro, which doesn't really matter in this meta because, you know, everything's nuke, but it is something that can have potentially maybe against enemies, you know, like SAGA or something like that, right? That can also work. And of course, if you don't have this one, any anti-burst should be fine, because, you know, you will probably be bursted a lot in this meta. So just something like, you know, something even like Death Struggle will be fine, right? Where's Death Struggle? Yeah, something, yeah, Kalas, the ones the Kalas have. Anti-burst. Hold on, I'm trying to find an example. I mean, that's not in Collab as well. Where is it? Where is she? Yeah, like Woods. Like, for example, Woods defense, you know, just having 5-second unkillable, that something like that could work as well. And you might be even able to reverse nuke, you know, during that time too. So, just something that can anti, you know, your team getting bursted right away. So, you know, like a death effect. So that can work as well. Where's Kalas? Like, yeah, where's Kalas and where's Kenomi? Do I have skins on that? Just don't know who they are anymore. Yeah, oh, here it is. Yeah, Kalas and anything as well. But I think overall, Jasmine might be a little bit better because your other 2 will be DPS, or your other 3 will be DPS. Or just, you know, or just having them die right away for the, like, for example, like for SAGA to trigger, you know, the Panderica, or, you know, or just pure damage on these two. I mean, or just another defense on him as well. So for her, I really think, yeah, just something defensive will be better. So, but of course, if you want to, you can use something like, you know, Masato as well, which I think a lot of people will also be using this one, because I feel like some people might have 2 Grey Zeomers instead of just 1, who knows. So, and for this one, I think it might also still be better to have something more bursty, anti-bursty, like for example, you know, like having a Death Struggle, that can work as well, or just some, you know, or just some good defensive abilities that can be good too. So, but yeah, overall, I think you should prioritize. Well, depends, right? You most definitely have Miku. You most definitely has it, and she will work really well, which I will be getting into her Awakens right after I finish, you know, talking about this. And of course, if you're watching this, you know, in the video, I'll be going into details on the changes on, you know, Great Mazinger or Great Zeorymer, as well as Miku Awakens. If you want to know about that, come to the live stream and just skip to this timestamp, and it should be good. But for now, you know, I guess that should be it for the builds, right? Yeah, I guess that should be it for the builds. The pilots are usually just gonna be Miku and Masato. Of course, I mean, you can use Byron, you can use Hongu on it, but, you know, Byron is a little bit outdated now, and Hongu is better on God, for him to spend even more, you know, like, the stronger, you know? Yeah, like, between God, or between Hongu God and Masato God, you probably want to use Hongu God, even though Masato is good, but Masato might be should be on a second God, or your second, or your only Great Zeorymer, or something like that, right? So, or I mean, the only time you might want to use Masato over Hongu is if your Hongu is required to be on your Shanglong or something, you know, like, right? Like, for example, yeah, if you have a Shanglong, and if you only have 1 God and 1 Great Zeorymer, then yeah, you can use Hongu on your Shanglong, and you can use Masato on your God, and Yumiku on your Great Zeorymer. So yeah, so I think that should be it about the things. And yeah, now let's get into Miku. So let me stop the recording now. So. Alright, okay, so now Miku Awakens. So Miku Awakens. After scale opens hold on. I'm just wanna make sure, because I wanna make sure Ian, you know, like English are translated well. So, you know, so it won't cause any, you know, potential problems. Also, let me also watch my own stream as well to make sure things are going well. Ooh. Where's Miku? Multitasking. Where's Miku? Miku. Okay, alright, so let's go to her Awaken skills. And let me go on to YouTube, make sure everything is fine. Where am I? I'm up here, right? Mic test. Okay, seems fine actually. Seems fine. I'm glad. Okay, so Miku opens a dimension portal, granting all allied dimensional. You know, how to use English? Yeah, how to translate from Chinese should be a bit better. Opens a dimensional shield that is indestructible for a certain amount of time, depending on the level, and you know, within the time. Any unit that has the you know, the Zeomers, whatever we call it, dimensional culture system, which is basically all the Zeomers, the God Zeorymer, and I do think also include Howl Dragon. I think all of them will do more damage, and if she is piloting Great Zeorymer or just like a Zeorymer unit, she'll also be immune to damage, which is not too bad. Definitely not too bad. But this is definitely a skill that you can probably skip on, because you know, the only thing that really changes is the duration of the shield, which, you know, in this meta it might not matter that much, especially when you're just getting nuked. It can probably protect you from some things like Echo of SAGA, but like Echo of SAGA is probably gonna be dead before before this active skill activates. So yeah, but still pretty good though for the first support. Now second skill, all stats increase by 280 stats points, and self damage reduction depending on how many of the Zeorymer unit, or I guess the dimension capture system units you have in the team, which is usually 2 or 3, and it will reduce that amount times 7%. Not too bad at all, especially if you're using something like double God or double Gzeo and and one of the other ones. So that should be so that's pretty good. And of course every unit with the dimension capture or I don't know what is dimension system. I'm just saying dimension system. All of their units will have a 25% action increase for their move over 10 seconds. That's huge. This is the reason why it is. She is quite well. She's not a She is not a necessity, but you kind of really want her to be in a team for you to buff your your meaty your damage dealing Great Zeomers and your damage dealing gods. So that's quite important. And she couldn't be on God because, well, she can be on God, but like you wouldn't because her skill buff God, and her skill. I don't think her skill will work if she is in God for some of her skills. So yeah. But anyway, pretty good skill. And also a pretty necessity one. For of course for your God and for your other Great Zeomers if you're using that. So, definitely want Dashi Max. And now for this third skill, bound damage value increased by 70%, and weapon changing speed, action changing speed increased by 50%. Probably the most amount of increase, which Great Zeomer requires it because how clunky it is. So this is a very good change for it to be a little bit more up to date. So that's not too bad. And it's also a reason why she is also quite necessary for Great Zeomer, because as much changes as Great Zeomer does, the core action movability is not changed. So you kind of need this in order for your Great Zeomer to even just move a little bit better. So pretty important skill. And of course, when she is on, or when she is piloting a Great Zeomer type units, whenever she uses, or whenever it uses an action, it will also reduce their action cooldown, which is pretty good. It just give you more chances in order to spam even more Exalt and such. So pretty good. The bomb. Okay, I'll get into that after I finish talking about Miku. Okay, so now and the last skill, final damage reduction by final damage taken reduced by 32%. And every time when her HP is below 20%, she will do a teleportation and recover 35%, and it will happen every 14 seconds. But if she is on a Great Zeomer, the time will be halved, so every 7 seconds. Pretty awesome, pretty required in this meta. It's not exactly a get out of jail card, but it is a good survivability, a good sustainability as little that I can get in this meta. But it is something that is good. It's just it might not allow Great Zeomer to survive alone with this kind of meta, but it is a very good one. Well, so that should be it about Miku. She's a very good Awaken. I personally think, right? I think if you don't have Masato, right? If you don't have Masato, then just awaken Miku and have your Hongu on your god. That should be a better one. So basically, your Miku Great Zeomer will be buffing your Hongu god. If you know what I'm saying. So I think that is the better one. If you don't have Masato, you don't need to go out of your way to get Masato. Now, Masato is good on God and on Great Zeomer, but again, if you want to use both Miku and him, you kind of require you kind of require 2 Great Zeomer or 2 God, which again, new player might not get 2 of them. And I wouldn't recommend getting 2 of them on any of them either, because there's only a limited amount of time where they are good. So assuming you only have 1 Great Zeomer and 1 God, you don't really need Masato Awaken if you don't even have him, right? If you don't even have him, you don't even need to awaken him. You can just have your Hongu on your god, and have your Miku on your Great Zeorymer, and that should be all good. Now, if you do have Masato and you do want to awaken both of them, then, and if you do want to use Masato on God, and if you do want to use, you know, Miku on Great Zeorymer, then your Hongu, then, you know, then you need a unit that will work for Hongu in this meta, which pretty much is only Xianglong. So if you're a Xianglong user, and you also get only two, you know, one of each of the, you know, Zeorymers, then I think that can work, sort of, but again, there's a very, very limited amount of units that can work in this meta at the moment, right? But if we just go into the thing right now, like, there really isn't much. Like, Loki is able to do it, but you're not gonna be using Loki Hongu, right? Yeah, Echo Vasago is able to do it, but you're not gonna be using Hongu on Echo Vasago, right? So really, only Xianglong is the option. So you kind of need Xianglong if you do want to not. If you don't want your Hongu to be on God, I guess. So. But I think this is good for free to play. You know, free to play, you do have to get Masato again, you know, all over again, and you also need to farm his retrofit materials. Which, well, not for new player, but for free to play, I guess. You don't. So if you don't. So I guess you say if you don't have Masato, you don't need to get him. You can just use, you know, Hongu on your god, and, you know, use your Miku as your support. So. And your other two unit would just be, you know, Echo Saga, or just the best you can bring up somehow, whatever that unit may be. So yeah, which I already said, like, in this meta, it's just low-key, yeah, it's just two god or two Great Zeorymer and one god, and Echo Vasago, B unit, or Loki. There is not really any other unit that can exist until the existence of Feng Huang. Once Feng Huang come out, then you can, you know, you can retire your Echo Vasago. You can retire your Echo Vasago should be still usable, but you can retire your B unit. You can retire your Loki after that point. So I have the team. I have the team set up kind of here. So if you wanna like look at it, and if you don't have Masato, then just something like this will work. Something like this will work, and maybe replace this build with like Loki on a support pilot or something like that. So yeah, but if you do have two Zeorymer, then you can put this and just replace this with another god if you want to, or preferably to replace this Great Zeorymer with another god. So yeah. Alright, I think that should be everything about Miku Awaken. Let me answer this question before I go into the details on Great Zeorymer. So, what's good? The third Bahamut, and I'm about to get a fourth. Just got a third Bahamut, and I'm about to get a fourth. That means you will be having 8-star Bahamut, right? That is fine. The thing is, the thing of Bahamut is, having multiple copies is good, mainly in Dimension Odyssey, so you can kind of like chunk the boss's health down. But aside from that, you don't really need Bahamut. So if 3 copy is already usable. So I might say to save. Yeah, save if you can. And just wait for Bahamut Retrofit or something like that, and you should be fine. 7-star Bahamut should be able to do everything you want it to do. I think just chassis and action should be done. Other than that, you should be fine. So yeah, you know what? Yeah, the third Bahamut is fine. Fourth one is a bit just overkill, or not overkill, but it can be a little bit better. But you know, it wouldn't be something that important compared to, say, for example, getting 1 copy of God, which will be a big difference, you know, between 6-star and 7-star in PvP and such, right? Or you can just save and just for something in the future as well. So that can work. So, all right, hold on. I forgot. Yeah, PvE build. Yeah, you know what? Hold on. I forgot about PvE build. I need to record that as well. To be clear, my is already ranked now. Oh wait, you meant 4 Bahamut? Okay. Oh, okay, Jesus Christ. Okay, if you want, okay. 4 Bahamut, 1's on the way. Oh, from the shards. Okay. Let me think. Now, obviously, you don't need that much Bahamut, of course. But the thing about Bahamut is, its chassis is able to kind of, stack, sort of, or not stack, but you can use chassis or in specifically Dimension Odyssey, you can again, use multiple Bahamut to chunk the boss down. But again, that's only used for multiple Bahamuts. What I would suggest is, if you really want to do that, just wait for Retrofit. Once you wait until you get once Retrofit come out, then you can have 4 10-star Bahamut if you want to roll the 4th one by then. So, but unless if you're getting a lot of shards from tapping players, then you know what? Then I could just keep tapping it, I guess. But definitely, I think if you can save on your resources, definitely save for something in the future, because who knows when Bahamut Retrofit might come, right? Hopefully, it come up before the game ends somehow. I mean, I don't think it will anytime soon, but hopefully come out soon. So yeah. You know what? I completely forgot the PvE builds. So I need to start recording again. So hold on. I started recording again because I forgot about PvE builds. Now for the PvE builds, I'm using Elaine mainly because Elaine is a bit more universal DPS. She works on everything, almost everything. So I think I'm just putting Elaine here just to be the safest ever in terms of the builds. Now your role for Grimace is definitely gonna be DPS, and DPS that can also do CCs, which you kind of need it nowadays, because, or at least in NC, because KT, like the blue flame person, is starting to get a little bit finicky against the more unbehaviorable bosses recently. So it being a DPS that can also do CCs are a good choice. Now you might see something kind of weird. Why am I using this one now? Because most of his damage comes from beam. Obviously, I'll be using this unit. But if you were to be using this support, you probably would be using it on the ally. But I'm putting this here mainly just to show that this is what you also want on the ally in order for it to do even more damage. But otherwise, you can probably use something like the super raw fist or something like that. Because I think his action come out of his fist, meaning it can eat the melee damage increases. So I think, but definitely check it out. See if it's better using fist compared to the beam thing. And you'll see. So, and now for the parts, now obviously for PvP, you're just straightforward, just Majin Core for the damage, super raw fist for the damage. I don't know the damage differences between because because I don't know which one would be better, between the sword and the fist. That can test it out, but I am using the fist mainly because it is a bit more overall damage increase, and not because I don't know if he can eat the first type of damage increase, and I don't know if the second part can make up for the increase from the super raw fist. So yeah, I think I'm using fist for safest, but of course if you have this one if you have Bisector, you can also use Bisector as well. Yeah, I'll get into that. Yeah. And now for the armor, just firm seal in case the boss is a bit more bursty or something, that can help you as well. But of course, you can definitely use something like fork if the boss is a little bit less bursty and such. And then now for the coatings, definitely the coating is just gonna be Bahamut coat. That should be good. And then now for the pets, I'll go for faster active seal activations. Now for the pets, it's just this one. Now I'm using this one mainly because it just gets more. It just do 12% more damage. But if you don't have this one, you can definitely use something like Scorpion or something like that. And this is a unit that might not work as well with the rabbits, because the rabbits want you to use a lot more actions. But the Great Zeorymer doesn't use that much action. It's just big actions, So Scorpion or this one, or if you have another DPS build, or not DPS, but something that can increase either the action speed, or the action cooldown, or just something that can make them spend more actions. that doesn't require it to use that much action, like the rabbits, or just some damage increases. Probably not Benson. Yeah, probably not this one, mainly because your Great Zero might not be close to the boss, when he's doing the XO. So maybe not Benson, but some other damage increase ones could work. Like the panda should work like overall. So if that's only one you have. But if you have Scorpion or if you have this one, then this is definitely one you want. And now for co-pilot will obviously depend on the pilot. Now the better and the best one would just be the best damage output DPS units you have at the moment. So for me, it'll be her, the girl from the Goddess Paradise collab. But of course, you can use other good ones like Greta if you have four more other units, or if you just want to use cleansiness for the pure penalty defense increase, or if you want to use it with Linda, right? Like if you have Linda, where's Linda? Yeah, if you have Linda, you can definitely use something like her, right? Is she the thing? Yeah, maybe something like this one, just for even more damage increase, or just or just use her again. Or just use her again. Just the best DPS pilot you have, which it will depend. It will depend on the players, right? If you have everything, then obviously just go for the best one. If you don't have everything, just look for the one that gives the most amount of attacks that can also apply for Great Zeorymer, and that should be fine. But yeah, okay, so that should be it about the PvE build. I hope I don't miss anything. If I do miss anything, I will comment. I'll also add it in the comments and in the description. So now, finally, let's get into the details of, well, not details, because again, there's not that much details on Great Zeorymer, but as much as I can get into, I guess. So let me put on her again, and let me put on her again. Now, for the retrofit of Great Zeorymer Saga, of course, its chassis got a good amount of buff. Now, hold on. Let me check how much buff. Because the biggest buff it got is definitely that its melee attack is now 4 range now. And that really changes a lot of things. Because back then, even back then, you can miss with that move a lot. So, and now for the max range, there's nowhere to hide. You get hit by the XO, you're probably gonna die. Especially when the XO now have life steal, or like HP removal, which is pretty strong. So okay, so let's see. I believe most of his action, or most of his weapons and most of its action are changed. I think all of them just have more of the marks. But anyway, yeah, of course, increased or stronger chassis for both damage and for both defense and for both defense and for offense. All that are stackable, giving you even more build potential. But the thing is, you won't really be building for this one. You're mainly building your Great Zeorymer as a nuke at this point. So like, even though these are good, but these are not the win conditions, I guess. For is mainly probably better. Well, but the thing is, even if you're fighting in Zenith, your main goal for Great Zeorymer is to nuke the enemy's team still. So like, these are good, but you're not gonna be brawling with Great Zeorymer just because, again, Great Zeorymer is like a 5 years old mecha that is gonna be that will be outplayed by most recent units. However, it makes up for with his nuking abilities from his new actions. So also I bought my face. But anyway, and of course, one of the differences between this one and God is that God doesn't have cleanse after it does a teleportation, but this one does. So that's pretty good. And of course, when that happens, it will also gain speed, which is a really good. Well, not really good, but like this is a fine. It is a fine way for it to make God, or no, for it to make Great Zeorymer a little bit more maneuverable into this meta, because this is not really gonna cut like a lot of time this might not, it might not cut it, I guess. Yeah. So pretty awesome. Is there anything else? Yeah, because most of his actions are the same. Like you just pray it to use its its final act, its 2x ults, and preferably not to use more of these. You want it to use more of the melee attacks in order to map wide KD enemies, map wide HP removal enemies, and map wide nuking enemies. So this is who you want to really go for, and whenever it is not using this move, it is not a good time for the enemy. Despite most of those new moves also gain a lot of anti-CCs, but again, usually come up to whoever does the melee, the melee attack first. If in like a setting, because once enemy takes the first melee attack, it might not be able to get up to, like, if it doesn't die, it might not be able to get up for like a good counter attack after that point, especially if you built your your Zeorymer into a point where it can chain a lot more of this. So yeah, okay, one thing if you're gonna be using something like Byron or Hongwu on this, right, is that you will get pretty pissed if you see they are spamming these. I mean, look, these some of these are good and definitely upgraded, but if it's not spamming the melee moves, it sometimes can be a bit annoying because it is kind of just giving the enemy more opportunities to use their own melee moves. So yeah. Other than that, nothing else much changed. It have acid beam, electric, and normal attack, which is pretty good for Abyss. So yeah, very good, very high HP, and yeah, I don't think there is much else to say. Again, if I miss anything, I'll comment down in the comments in the description. But just know that it sure got a lot of buffs, but it might not matter that much when what matters is how soon it can, or I guess what matters are the buffs to the melee attacks, which is the HP removal, the map wide force KDs. That is the most important ones. Because again, that is your win condition. Everything else that got add on is good. However, it might not be that impactful in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, so hello, welcome. We just finished most things, but again, I'll be clipping the units, I'll be clipping I'll be clipping this these videos onto YouTube, so stay tuned on that. Or you can just rewind the stream for the for the guide and such, so that can work as well. Let me start recording. I forgot I was recording as well. But anyway, that should cover everything I want to talk about today. Once again, I want to hold on. Let me record these things as well. Actually, no, I don't think I need to. But yeah, if you are a new player, I highly suggest just focus on God and ditch both Howl Dragon and Great Zeorymer, just because, holy crap, the amount of stamina, the amount of stamina that you need in order to retrofit these units are insane. Like, I don't think free-to-play have physically have enough time to get everything, unless they have like 2,000 pots saved up, because it is crazy with the amount of pots that we need for this collab. Like, holy crap. So it's not that, look, you can have the money, right, to like weld the units, but you might not have the stamina. Look, this is after a few hundreds of staminas of farming, and that's all I get. And you need to get this 1, 2, 3 times to get the final one. That's how insane that is how insane this is. It's better to use joint. No, you want to use dimensional core. Yeah, you want to use dimensional core. There's one other thing. Yeah, you want to use dimensional core. Yeah. Again, I'm putting this build up again. Yeah, this is the general build. That shouldn't go wrong, or I guess should cover the most cases, right? Something like this should cover the most cases. So yeah, definitely save. Yeah, don't. Yeah, if this is the first time you playing this collab, yeah, just skip everything. Like, don't even, like, hopefully they rerun Zeorymer when you're more prepared, you know, on pots and stuff, right? Focus on God and skip everything else, because you can well everything, but you might not have enough stamina to physically farm, like, the freaking materials for this, because old events are literally mental torture. So, yeah. God dang, man. So, any more questions, guys? Any more questions? Oh, hold on. Can you use, Zeorymer and crossover team, if you have them? The thing is, the gap between them are way too high. It will just be Great Zeorymer carry. Like, if you have a Retrofit 3 Great Zeorymer, then it will just be Great Zeorymer 3 carry, for the most part. So, you can try to use it, but you might not see a good results, considering it will just be one mecha, the latest one, carrying everyone else, basically. And the other unit might not just be able to get in any attacks before anything happens. So yeah. Oh yeah, right. Whatever happened to Glowing Light? Glowing Light is good in PvE, and it is useful in PvE under some circumstances, like being carried by homewards and stuff like that. But again, only in very tight circumstances. So, glowing light need 8 stars. So definitely a unit that I wouldn't recommend people to get, just because you need to be like a veteran to use him effectively. Is what I'm saying. So, yeah. And of course, there are some bosses that are less that like, you know, damage reduction for beam, just because the dev want to target, you know, the glowing light teams. So yeah, definitely skip glowing light if you want to save resources. Alright, any more questions? If not, I will probably call this early, because I don't think there's anything I want to do or I need to do per se. So, let me know if you guys have any more questions. Alright, then I'll just see if I can do anything. Stay tuned on more videos on things real quick. And of course, if you want to know more news about Mecha Break, just check my latest, you know, community post, and everything should be fine. Yeah, thank you. Alright, yeah. Oh, I'm very, very tired. I just got home from eating and I'm freaking sleepy. I still need to edit a video because I'm posting the guide, or the recording of the guide on the thing tomorrow, so yeah. Oh yeah. See you all next time. Goodbye. I'm gonna wait until 49. I'm gonna build up again just so. Also, yeah. I'm dead. For how color should I say the fifth one? Save. Yeah, save. Considering that means you don't have enough for Retrofit. That means you don't have Retrofit yet. So, okay, farm. Okay, I guess hold on, because I don't want you to waste stamina on farming stuff. So yeah, don't just wait until the last day. If you really like how, then do it until the very last day. Assess your situation, assess your stamina, see if it's worth it to put in 1,000 stamina to Retrofit How Dragon. If you think it is, then do it. If not, then just skip. Yeah, How Dragon is only for fans. Fans only. Alright? Fans only. Alright. But hopefully I should feel fine. So, yeah, look, it's a trap. It's a freaking trap, I think. It's a freaking trap. So, it's for fans only. If you're not a How fan, don't. Yeah, if you're not a How fan, don't. It will eat your stamina alive. Oh, yeah. I heard a lot of people saying this. How Dragon is a trap, almost. So, yeah. Alright, I think that's everything, guys. That's everything. So, well, see you all, guys, next time. Goodbye. Again, if I miss any questions, that you ask any questions, feel free to ask again in the comments. or ask in our Discord just by tagging me, and I will answer them, you know, there or in the comments, right? Preferably in the comments, yeah. Probably just wait until the last day. Yeah, wait until the last day, see how much you love it, and of course, see if you have enough pots to farm the retrofit, to farm the retrofit material, all 3 of them. If you can, then you can consider, I guess. Oh my goodness.